When he turned his back from shoulder to shoulder, it looked like as wide as the tailgate of a truck.
And just darkness, literal darkness, just came like all over, just all over me except where I was standing.
This thing let out the most blood-curdling, mind-blowing, spine-tingling scream that you've ever heard in your life, and it cut through me like a knife.
And I knew that they were going to take me. I just knew it. And then the next thing I can remember is being levitated.
Well, when I look in there, I see two big eyes staring back at me.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Bump Podcast, a place for the believers of the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. Join us, and we'll go face to face with what goes bump in the night. Hey there, believers. Got a good episode for you tonight. I'm really excited to bring on Stacy Brown. You probably know him from Skunk Ape Lives, My Journey with Monsters. He is, if there is an expert in Skunk Ape, it's Stacy Brown. I don't like to use the word expert, but I don't know of anybody that does more research and really just throws himself into this stuff like Stacy does. So I'm going to let him come on, talk about whatever he wants to talk about. I want to talk about Skunk Ape. If he has other projects and stuff coming up that I'm sure he does, he's constantly working. If he wants to talk about that, I'm all for it. I'm just happy to have him on here. It's been a long time since we did something along the lines of Bigfoot, and I'm pumped about this one. All right, so just hold on one second. I'll bring him on. Hey, Stacy, can you hear me yet? It says your connection to audio.
So yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate, you taking the time. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. So you got any questions?
I do. First, thank you for being on. It's been a long time since I had, somebody that delved into the topic of Bigfoot and stuff like that and Skunk Ape. That's who the majority of my audience is. I realize that. I went about a month without doing a Bigfoot show, and I'm just watching the numbers tick down.
Right.
But I was on Sasquatch Chronicles. I don't know if you listen to podcasts or not, but
yeah,
Wes Germer had me on his show last August, and my numbers shot up. And then anytime I have a Bigfoot show, it's like thousands of listeners. And if I don't, it's like, kind of falls off. But yeah, I do have some questions for you. I know, and like I said in the intro, if I was going to put the label of expert on anybody for something, I would put you as a Skunk Ape expert.
Appreciate it.
I don't know if anybody else that, gets into the topic as deep as you do. I know you really put yourself out there in it. So if you don't mind, I would love to hear your encounter story, and the first time you ran into Skunk Ape.
Well, the first time, and so everybody's seen Finding Bigfoot, I take it, especially Bigfoot fans, people that would be watching this program.
Right.
I'm sure that they're familiar. The second episode was in Florida. They did like half of it up here in northern Florida, and the other half was in the Glades. But there was a lady that had a handprint on the inside of her back door. Okay. Big greasy handprint about that big, to the door to her Florida room, meaning something opened it, stuck its arm in, and the door shut back, animal pulling its arm out, gaining entry to the house, no less. So they put her name on the television, and I looked her up in that thing we used to have back in the day, the white pages. And they straight up were in there. So I called them, and she didn't know who I was. which is fine. I wasn't nothing, but I mean, she didn't. When I say that, she was worried about the snakes and made me wait till November. Now this is like in July when I called, and she's like, "Well, the snakes are real bad out here." You know, so what? Like, this ain't mine. You know, like I've been around snakes quite a bit. I can't stand them.
Right.
I know how to deal with them. You know, I know what to watch for and stuff. So, anyways, I didn't say anything. I just respected her wishes. And my dad had gotten kidney cancer, bladder cancer, one of the two.
I'm sorry.
So he couldn't make it. Right. He was recovering from a surgery. Because he wasn't like a candidate for chemo or anything because of his Crohn's disease. So it was like, hey, we got to do surgery, do the best we can, and it is what it is. So he couldn't make it, but he was originally going to go with me because me and my dad's what got me into bigfooting, and we had been bigfooting in the Apalachicola National Forest just as a way to hang out. You know what I mean? Just to get together. We went on like a BFRO expedition in northern Georgia. We're having fun with it. But he couldn't make it. So I asked my bass player to come with me. And so we show up to this lady's house. We're pulling down this driveway. And as we're pulling in, something steps back into the tree line. Right? And so we stopped the vehicle. We're like, get out of here. You know what I mean? No way. No way. You couldn't tell what it was, but it was just some black figure stepped into the tree line. Well, so we stopped right there. You could hear something running off, but you couldn't see shit. There was just a huge ravine that dropped off down in there, and that was a spring down in there. It's where the water come out of the side of the hill, you know. And so there's a whole lot of white sand at the bottom of the ravine, but all these bay trees were growing up. Once you got in there, you couldn't see somebody from the road. Okay. So we thought maybe just a hog, a bear maybe. Went on up to the house, met them. They put us on this mule, which is like a Kawasaki. You know what I'm saying? It's not an actual mule. So I've told this story before, and people are like, "Damn, he rode a mule around the property." They're like, "No, I didn't. I didn't ride no mule." But anyways, we get in the back of this thing. She's driving us around the property, and she's like, "Somebody seen Bigfoot there? You know, there's Bigfoot right there. There's some tree structures right out here." And there was really cool tree structures I couldn't explain, but they were small, right? Like, so we would find occasionally a big one. You know how all these people count these X's in these trees and stuff. So we occasionally would find a big one, but we found some really impressive, like knee-high ones, okay, on that property during the investigation. And none of them were huge. We had one that we called like the level. It was basically like 3 trees had been bent over, and then there was a tree sitting across the top of them. Like, because they all arced in the same spot, and at that same spot, there was a big old limb just balancing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it balanced so much that it ended up eventually growing into the other tree. Like some kind of fungus or something connected them. Yeah. Really neat though. So anyways, she rides us back around, and she takes us to the camp where we're going to be staying, called the Hermit Shack. A Hermit Shack is to be one of the top 10 spookiest places I've ever been. All right. I've been to the Conjuring House, numerous other haunted places, you know, you name it. This is one of the, the top few, because you got this like Leatherface, or I say Leatherface, but Jason Voorhees is who you would expect to come out of this damn thing. Yeah. I mean, it's this little shack in the middle of the woods, a 2-story shack. So anyhow, we set up camp, or we're getting our stuff out of the mule, and she's like, "Hey, you're the first people to ever camp out here." I was like, "What?" The BFRO had been investigating that place for 7 years. Okay. And then that happened. She told me that they never had camped out there. And I remember thinking to myself, these things are primarily sighted at night. Right. So what is the reason that you're not spending the night out there? Now, there were some attempts to stay out there overnight, but they couldn't do it. They didn't have the wherewithal, or whatever you want to call it, to to stay out there and put up with the shit that was about to happen to us.
Wow. Okay. So shit
Okay.
got real.
Shit got real quick. All right. So, you know, we were there, settled in, wasn't really tripping ourselves out. We had our camp going and stuff. We did a little hike down to the creek, seen some tree breaks, you know, like some twists and things. And we're like, well, maybe, you know, just giving it a chance. Where we were camped was at the end of this road. Like, so when you went into their property, the road forked and it went down to this camp through like these planted pines, younger pines, but they were about 12, 13 feet tall. Or you could go to their house. So we were down, it was like on 28 acres. So we're down there at the end of that road, where the end of that road ended. That's where the shack was. And there was kind of like a circle, right?
Mhm.
And down that circle is just steep drop. Like, this is the only place in Florida that has elevation. It can go anywhere from 75 feet to 230 feet, you know, and then back down. So it's also up and down. So it's like a completely different terrain than anywhere else in the state. When you think Florida, you know, it's flatland. Most of it is. This shit was not. Very beautiful, though. And I think, and I'll talk about this later, I think it was enough to make a difference in the creature we were messing with. Okay, so I come across some new information that makes me, I used to think it was just one thing. I used to just think the skunk ape, Bigfoot, same thing.
Right.
I now no longer believe that. Okay, so that's a new thing. That's like in the last week. So anyways, we'll go. Okay, so we go from there. And like I said, we're like on a circle, so it's all going downhill. Anyways, we walk up the trail, blah, blah. We probably walk a mile or so from the camp and to this little pad where this is like overlooking this other ravine. And, you know, it kind of goes down and then up. And it's where them little structures were. Okay, and it was on this hill that was above their house, and that's where the Bigfoots had been sighted. So we wanted to sit there. And we did. We sitting there listening, you know, cutting up, probably smoked some dope. I was in a rock band. So, like,
yeah,
that happened. It doesn't make you see shit, though.
No, it does not.
So, anyways, we're sitting there and got this little thermal for like looking at wires and stuff, you know. And these hickory nuts started falling. It was November. This time of year they were falling, but we started noticing them falling uphill. Okay, so we're sitting on an incline, bro. Right. We're not sitting on flat ground. It's going straight down to the ravine and then straight up out of the ravine. And they're falling uphill, which should not happen. I've never actually seen it happen at all, but maybe it could, but not like this. I can't remember if one hit Matt or one rolled real close to him, but then he noticed it as well, and it was almost simultaneously. And so we shined the thermal up. Now, we had already been scanning this thermal. Now when we scan the thermal, there's a massive, on the other side of that creek, that ravine, there's a massive heat signature sitting there. Looks a lot like the thing they caught on Expedition Bigfoot, except there's like, it almost appears there's a hand up here at the top.
Yeah.
Like holding onto a tree, because you've got this huge thing and this little tree in the center of it.
Oh, wow.
You know, like maybe that was the slow one. You know, but it obviously couldn't hide. So we got spooked. We're like, all right, we're going to head back to camp. We take off back on this mile walk. Now, this mile walk, we're going around her house and up the driveway and all that, back to the thing. In all actuality, where we were at wasn't 100 yards maybe to our camp.
Right.
Just not knowing it. We'd never been on the property. When we got back to the camp, this thing was there.
Shit.
Okay, so it's like popping trees, smacking trees, making like a kind of a, it'd be like a mumble and like grunts, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was some kind of vocals. And so this is terrifying us at this point. We've done psyched ourselves up. And the thing about these creatures is they will wait you out. I don't care how long you try, in my experience. Okay. So I heard the footsteps and they're down there going from big tree to big tree, dirt, 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 and they get behind it. So I hear where it goes to and I shine the light on it, and it's a tree. That's where it ended. It's always a tree where the noise ends. And I was shining the light on it. And then I turned it off, but then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hold this light here. We going to wait each other out. You got to come from behind that tree. And then you wait for minutes and minutes. And about 10 minutes goes by and you're like, I'm losing my mind.
Right.
So you turn it off. You turn back around, walk back up by the fire. And as you do that, there it goes again.
Oh,
So, long story short, we're sitting around the campfire, and just kind of hear the brushes move. And there at the end of the firelight is, like the thing.
wow.
So it just never comes right in.
Right.
Never comes inside the firelight. It will stay to the edge. It won't come in. So we're just kind of sitting there and quiet. Then I believe, because it just comes up, it's kind of like labored breathing. Not labored, but almost sounds like it's snoring while it's awake. Turns around and goes off, So maybe it didn't know what we were. Something like that. But then I fall asleep on the cooler. Okay, because I wake up falling off of it. Right? So Matt's already in the tent. I get in the tent. We had 2 tents. Okay, we slept in one. All right, like we were grown men. We're grown men. We slept in one. So we get in that one tent, and it couldn't have been 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 5 o'clock. The sun wasn't up, but it wasn't long, And he starts screaming, and the top of the tent is just like right there at our face, and kind of goes up. So what I'm thinking is, it just once the fire died,
he got bold. Yeah.
Come up into the tent, the camp, seen the tent, probably know what the hell it was. I was pushing down on it, and then it run off. Matt went and I believe immediately got into his truck. I did not. I stayed in the tent. I didn't want to see it.
Right.
I didn't want to wake up and be looking in the window at me. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I was terrified. So next morning, we get up. We don't say shit. We ride to the Hardys. Or no, I called my dad. I called my dad when I got up. So called him and told him, hey, man, we're probably just going to ride home. All this shit happened last night. He's like, dude, we've been looking for Bigfoot and you found him and you're leaving? So I'm like, ugh. And so I don't say nothing to Matt. We get in the truck. We ride back to Hardy's, get breakfast. And then the first thing that's said between us that day was, well, they didn't get us. Do you want to stay again, is what he asked me. And it's like my dad said he'd punch me in the face if I come home.
Right.
And there's actually Bigfoot out here. So we're staying. And that was it. The second night, no visuals. As soon as it got dark, shit started up again. And we heard it vocalize, and then about a mile off in the woods, something replied to it. Whatever.
Oh, wow.
It made the same sound. So that was basically it, and that started a long investigation there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it was life changing. I quit my band. Sold one of my trucks, went to 12-hour shifts so I'd have more time. I really thought when I seen this thing that, because then you go on like Bigfoot forums.
Right.
you know, and you read it, and it's like, this is a fucking joke. Like, this is why Bigfoot hasn't actually been found.
Yeah.
This is full of trolls. You know, so that was my first impression. I was like, damn, I was like 12 feet away from the thing. Stacy Brown's about to wrap this up. It's a done deal. And then, so, you know, I went at it hard, or I really did. And I was blessed to be on the Bigfoot Bounty show, where I then won a research grant, which I was able to actually pay myself for a few years.
Awesome.
To just hunt Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like you get up and you go to work in the morning. I was getting up and rolling to a report, or to check a place out, or to go stay. You know, a lot of times I would just go stay like 10 days at a time somewhere.
Yeah. Man.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I want to say that's the life, but I don't know, man.
It was great. It was great.
As scary as it is, you know, and I respect the hell out of you for saying you didn't want to see it. You didn't want to wake up and it be on the other side of that glass staring at you. As into it as you are, that you still didn't want to, you know, have to see it right there.
Right. Yeah. I just couldn't get with it. Did we lose my camera?
Yeah, I think your camera went out.
Oh shit. Hold on 1 second, bud. Sorry about that.
You're good. I'll take this time to grab another beer.
Back.
All right.
Sorry about that.
no, you're good.
I thought I plugged in my DC adapter, but we had it until the battery went out. So
See, mine's not that fancy. Mine's just a little USB camera that I got off Amazon for like $15.
I used my one I actually shot the Skunk Ape lives with. It's my podcast camera. I had to buy a little device to hook it USB to my computer, but I love it.
Yeah.
It looks great. So
it does look good.
But yeah, so that was that. You know, I was sold. When I quit my band, my dad knew it was for real.
Yeah.
So he sold his boat, and he made that boat by hand. Like I say by hand, he got the hull from an FBI auction.
Right.
They gutted it 'cause somebody had a bunch of square grouper on it, and or cocaine, one of the two. So it tore the floor out and everything, you know.
Oh
and
gosh,
he picked it up. He picked it up for like I think $1,000 from FBI auction, and had a trailer to the house, and it was beautiful, man. Beautiful boat. He had redone everything himself because he did a bunch of work like that.
Right.
After he got out of the military, and you know, he sold it, and we were able to get the camera, the thermal camera. And so we were going all the time, every chance we could, and that's what led into that footage.
Yeah, the footage, that thermal image,
footage.
man.
Yeah.
I'll look into that in just a second. Hold on.
All right.
You said something about those structures and made me write it down. You said they were knee high.
Yeah.
Were they like knee high and long, like something would crawl, shimmy in there, or were they knee high and small, like there's little people that live there too?
It was knee high, like a little teepee. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would have a long stick connecting to another teepee at the end. So some of them would be 6 feet long.
Yeah.
You know, with like two teepees that are connected with a long stick. And then some of them would just be like these elaborate teepees. Well, I mean, like, it's definitely somebody made it with their hands. And so that was one of my first things was it's her, until we actually, the ones we found that were, you had to figure she was in her 60s, you know, she had lupus. Her husband, it wasn't exactly healthy, like enough to do all that.
Right.
to walk around all the way the fuck out there where I went.
Right.
And then we found like a structure at one point that looked like I got it on video, but it was like a wall was built that you couldn't see behind. And then behind it, there was a bunch of shit inside that looked like almost a bunch of gorillas had built the shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the way it looked like a big ass nest, but one side of the shit there. And then so that backside was a bowl, because it was down in a damn, like a dry sink. I say a dry sink hole. It's just down in this big hole. And I'm talking a big hole. This thing probably was 100 yards wide, maybe.
Wow.
Right. And the water come up out in spots there out of the ground. And there was just in the corner of this thing was just built, and there was huge game trails going down to it.
Like a ground blind.
Like a ground blind, like they were hiding.
Yeah.
Like they were getting in there to hide, not necessarily to hunt. Just it looked like you were just there to hide, to bed down, to sleep, to avoid somebody.
Man.
So but the little structures, I don't know, man. Maybe they didn't make these big things because like most of the structures we found were knee high.
See, that just trips me out because I think the thought about little people, not dwarfism. I mean, like
yeah.
The Menahuni and the Puckwoods.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff that scares me more than a Bigfoot. I think just.
Well, the thing about this property it was a special place.
Yeah.
Okay. Special in the ways of like a Skinwalker Ranch. Okay. There was a wolf there. I have a track of this wolf. This wolf's track is bigger than a damn gray wolf. We don't have wolves right there. We got red wolves in Florida and the little black wolves, but they're smaller than a coyote.
Right.
And it's not. It wasn't nothing. This damn track's big as my hand.
Wow.
Like, I ain't lying. I have no idea where it came from. So everybody's like, maybe it's a coy dog. Because you have them damn coy wolves.
Yeah, we got them all over here. Up here,
but we're in Florida, bro.
Yeah.
Now not saying one didn't make that trip, because the Chattahoochee River, which right where we were, Apalachicola River, that turns into Chattahoochee on the other side of Lake Seminole, and it goes all the way up to Helen, Georgia, where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Bigfoot activity at both ends of that. Okay, because I've researched in Helen and had Bigfoot activity. Okay, there's tons of reports up there by the museum and stuff. That's where that Chattahoochee starts, and then it ends down here. You know what I mean? So could it have been one of them? I don't know. Anyways, a wolf out there, right? And then a big black cat, like a big black cat.
Yeah, like a panther.
Like a panther. And then what's funny? They say panthers aren't black. I think I was 8 years old before I saw my first tan one, and I didn't know what it was. I asked the teacher. We're at the Junior Museum. I said, "What is that?" He said, "Oh, that's a Florida panther." I said, "No, the panthers are black. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Seen them multiple times. Like it was just a thing. It wasn't like we didn't think nothing down there in Alligator Point in the late '80s. This is about as backwoods as it gets. So it wasn't, it wasn't a thing."
Yeah. So we got those here too. The Black Panthers, and of course they're not supposed to exist, like you said, and we're not supposed to have any kind of big cats. Bobcats are supposed to be about it for here. We're not supposed to have any kind of cougar or anything, but we do. We hear them. You can hear them at night. You find big cat tracks. People see them all the time.
Yeah, so that was that. And there were lights, orbs, and shit that would show up there. So it was a very special place.
Have you been able to go back?
I have not been back since Hurricane Michael. At Torreya's done, where my dad, the film site, it's done.
Oh,
so that hurricane destroyed a lot.
Yeah, and
there's just nothing to it anymore. Me and the property owners there had a falling out over a movie. movie I was making called Creatures, which was about their story. I won't get into that, but my producer ended up like pitching my script to somebody in Hollywood. And so
Oh,
they basically cut me out. So whatever, it is what it is.
yeah.
Money
What-
makes a lot of people do a lot of things.
Yeah. And, you know, if it's a place of high strangeness, why wouldn't there be some kind of something negative go on there too? You know,
Right.
yeah, like it's cursed almost. Well, man, that's an intense story.
Hey, it was a life-changing event, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
It
no
really
doubt.
was.
No doubt. Well, okay, you brought up the thermal image.
Yep.
You know, the one that's in Skunk Ape Lives. How'd you get it?
Luck. I'm assuming.
That's perfect, man.
I'm assuming luck because I haven't been able to replicate.
Yeah.
Which bothers me. That's the one I got. The second encounter I had in California. I should have had it. I'd have had the best footage ever. Patterson, give him take a fucking hike. I'm looking at the thing from just a few feet away, watching it run across this field, and I've got the thermal, and I'm like, and the thermal's pointed towards the ground. Actually seen that one, Justin Smea. You know. So, anyways, how we get that footage? I'm sorry, I'll ramble.
No, yeah, you're good.
So my dad calls me up. I'm working. He's like, "Hey, you want to go?" And I was like, "Sure, come pick me up, get my stuff from the house." And so it kind of rained that day. It rained about an inch, but it was almost like a Portland rain. You know, it wasn't a pour down. It was just a steady kind of drizzle for a while. And hold on one second.
You're good.
My kids are being kids. So I was supposed to pick them up at 7:15. They text me and be like, "Hey, I'm done." It's like, all right. Anyway, so he come pick me up. It rained, you know, everything was kind of wet, and we're grilling out, you know. And all of a sudden we hear these knocks. Right now, I got White Zombie on. You know, we're listening to music. Me and my dad's chilling. Tuesday night, we're 1.5 miles into the swamp. All right. There was nobody in that parking lot when we come through but the Rangers.
Right.
It's us, bro. It's us. Nobody anywhere. There's a knock, and my dad's like, "Yeah." It's a wind blowing two trees together because my dad was a skeptic, right? He liked the idea. He absolutely loved the idea, and he gave me my drive, my passion to do it because, like, this is all full circle for me. When I was like, before I was 10, this was my shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? This was what I loved. Cryptids. See, I was that kid, that weird ass kid that got picked on for it. Like, I got my ass whipped because I believe in Bigfoot. Like, these rednecks around here. You know what I mean?
Right.
They make you into who you are today, but there's a point where they got to make you by punching you. And, you know, and constantly getting mocked. But, you know, then life happened and got away from it and then came back to it. And, you know, so it's all kind of like a big full circle thing for me. You know what I mean? Like, because this is what I loved when I was a kid. I told my teacher I was going to be a monster hunter when I grow up.
Awesome.
Turns out it's actually a job. She told me it wasn't. Whatever. So,
Joke's on her.
yeah, go teach some more classes. But yeah, so we went out there, heard a knock. I was like, "That's them, man. They're here." He's like, "No, it's just the trees." And then we hear another one a few minutes later. And I was like, "Dude, they're here." And he's like, "Son, the wind's blowing. It's blowing the tops of the trees together." I was like, "Daddy, I know what you're talking about." You know, but they're here. And then he's like, "All right, how about this? If we hear them again, we'll go out. We'll walk out there to see if we can find it." And as soon as he says it, you hear like a grunt before the knock, right?
Yes.
And so, unknowing to us, unknowing to us, hold on, bro. Can I pause this 1 second, man?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
My kids are pulling. Just had to have the ex-wife go get them.
All right, we're good.
So, anyways, you ready to start?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, after we heard the knock with the grunt, we went out on the trail. He was in the lead. He had this little headlamp, but it was on like the red light. You know what I mean? And it's like when closing your hands, you could just see a little bit if you need to. Besides that, no light. The thermal was switched to to black hot, so that the trail would illuminate as white. Okay, so because the trail was full of leaves and had, I guess, that water, you could see the trail then, right? And so our main concern was snakes. We're walking in the dark. There are water moccasins and copperheads all over this area. Like, they're bad. You got at this one spot where we're at, there's like where 3 creeks actually meet up, and then the one creek goes all the way to the property where I had my encounter 12 miles away. And then it goes out, the other creek there, they meet up, and then they go into the Apalachicola River together. So it's a really snaky spot.
Yeah.
Beautiful area though. Like, I'm so sad that it seriously was one of my favorite spots on the planet. So, anyways, we're heading out. We're still hearing things. Okay. I believe there was probably 4 there that night, 3 to 4. Okay. They're on this side of the trail. They're on this side of the trail. Now my dad's filming with a thermal, and for the most part, I'm like trying to keep close to him so I could see in that IR on my handy cam.
Right.
We turn down this, what we think is the trail. We turned down a game trail. Thought it was the trail. Which that made it real hard to find the spot where we were standing, because when you do the recreation, you got to know the exact spot. It's fucking pitch black. Right. And you've been walking with a camera. You're not walking with your eyes, so you really didn't know where we were at. We knew what tree it was behind. You know what I mean? We had to find certain, like landmarks in our frame to kind of, okay, this is around about where we were at. So my dad's sitting there, he's like, it's a coon, and he's like, it's 2 coons because it's sticking out of both sides of the tree. And then you see it. He stepped forward, and I think he like kicked a palmetto or broke a stick or something to that nature happened. And he took off. My dad's like, gotta go, get out of here, get your gun. This is an Army Ranger.
Right.
And like, my dad wasn't scared of nothing. Like, I'd never seen my dad scared like that at all. And so I was like, what the hell are we running from? I had no idea. And he's talking about we're blind. I mean, I don't want to ruin it. Watch the film for all you people that haven't seen it. But you actually see him become a believer on camera. And to my knowledge, I could be wrong, but it has to be like one of the best documented encounters ever. We got a solid recreation that Cliff did, and that was something, having somebody else do the investigation. We felt it was important to outsource it. Cliff has no horse in the race. If the thing's 6 foot tall, then the thing's 6 foot tall. He doesn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? But for him to come up with his measurements that he did, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of that was important. We felt it was. And then we got the handy cam footage along with it. Me filming, documenting the encounter that way. So it's really cool. You can't hear a whole lot in the video because of the cicadas, so I think it was a perfect storm of it being dark, the cicadas kind of covering our light walking that we were doing, and then it just being an absolute still, like storm had rolled out. It was absolutely still when this went on. So I think any scent may have been kind of kept towards the ground. So it was, like I said, lucky. A lot of things came into play all at once.
Yeah, but man, I'm glad it did. I'm
Yeah,
glad it-
well, you know, hey, it was like I won the Super Bowl with my best friend.
yeah,
That's what I tell people, you know what I mean? Because, like,
Yeah.
I don't care. You'll never know that it's 100% real. And that's fine. You
Right.
weren't there, but I was.
right. That's all that
You know,
matters.
that dude,
That's all that matters, bro.
that's all that matters, bro. So,
Like, I get what you're saying about, being with your dad and stuff. My dad, he's my best friend,
Right.
except for the last couple of weeks, he'd come up to the house every Wednesday for dinner. Anytime I go out camping, it's with my dad. If I go fishing, I take my dad, like we're just two peas in a pod,
yep.
And I cherish every one of those moments. And we do this show together every once in a while. He'll jump on here with me and interview people. And he's got a voice like Barry White, though. He kept all that stuff to himself. I didn't get that.
Right.
But yeah, man, I get it. That there's nothing like that kind of relationship. So
Yeah, it was good, man. I'm glad I was able to have that for as long as I did. Really grateful. He passed on. But that was a whole other thing. That was like rough. When you have that kind of relationship with somebody and they pass away, that's bad.
yeah,
So
I'm
like
driven.
he actually passed away the day after we finished the shooting of The Pit.
Oh wow.
And so with The Pit, he built the whole set. Like, Florida won't let you film in a cave because they consider the caves here alive. You touch the rocks, it will deteriorate.
Right.
It will die. So he built us a fucking 20-foot tall out of concrete and rebar cave.
Oh my gosh.
So everything you see in the movie, the tunnel, the spot where we were stuck in the ground, 100% made everything himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a man.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, man, that was that with the footage. It's, people try to debunk it. Unfortunately now I don't think you can because the tree is no longer standing. It was 27 inches wide, by the way. That was the important part.
Yeah.
27 inches wide, and this thing was sticking out both sides.
Both sides.
You'll see a picture on Cliff Barackman's website where it's just the tree. And I swear to God, I'm standing behind that tree. Like, I swear, my dad took a picture and I'm on the other side of the tree. You can't even see me. It just looked like he took a picture of the tree,
Right.
So it was really cool when Bobo crossed that gap because Bobo's so much taller than your normal person. So he's like 6'6", I think, 6'5", something like that.
He's a good sized guy.
Yeah, and then he can't match it. That thing is like 1.5 feet taller than him. That thing makes it in 1.5 steps. It's like boom, and then it's into the clearing before it steps down again. Bobo's like boom, boom, and then into the clearing. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
and I think it scared my dad so bad because it was going back the way we came.
Oh shit. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
that would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was it. I didn't actually see the footage until we got to the parking lot.
Yeah.
We went down, tore our camp up, grabbed everything, and left. And that was it, man. The phone started ringing.
Wow.
As soon as Cliff got his investigation done, because I knew what it was.
Yeah.
My dad thought I was fucking with him, but I knew what it was. And when Cliff's investigation come, then my dad was like, all right. And I don't think he was really like, all right, until Bobo. When he seen Bobo up there, he was like, yeah, all right.
Put it all in perspective.
It was cool, man. It was like a Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin type thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what that sounds like. It's just like it.
So it's one of those things, blows your mind, changes your life. And once we released it, phone started ringing. My dad didn't want to be on Finding Bigfoot, but Cliff convinced him they weren't going to run his name in the dirt or anything like that. But when that came out, that was the highest rated Finding Bigfoot episode ever.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I don't know that they topped it, but that was the only one that Renee, even when I did the second Bigfoot episode with them, where I took them to Sarasota or to Mayaca, she even talked to me about it then. She's like, I don't know how the hell y'all caught that. She goes, I actually cannot understand what that is. It's so massive. And I'm like, You are listening to hundreds of people every week tell you their damn stories, and you can't fathom that it's actually real.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I see. I thought that was just a character she played. You know?
No.
And I got to do a brief cameo on Finding Bigfoot for the Discovery Plus thing. They did the big, We Come Back show.
Oh, okay.
I was on there for about 13 seconds telling part of a little, experience I had, but Renee wasn't there. But yeah, I thought that she was just, playing the role of the hardened skeptic that refuses to believe.
Nah, bro. She's straight up that way, like, because we'd all be partying when we had some parties on that when we did the Sarasota episode. They like shut the Chili's down in the parking lot for us.
Sweet.
Let us just like, they ordered so much Jameson. like the crew did. It was fun, man. It was
smart
fun.
Crew.
I guess I hated Jameson, but it was free, so I was like, whatever. What can you put this with that makes it taste decent? And it's nothing. That's the answer to that question. Absolutely nothing. So
you just gotta like Irish whiskey.
Yeah. The drunker you get, you'll quit noticing it.
That's right. Well, Stacy, I appreciate you sharing those stories with me, man, and coming on here on the show. I know you got to get to your kids, but before you go, can you tell me just where people can find your latest works?
Okay, yeah. So I guess the thing I'm most stoked on right now, we just released, is my Outcast Paranormal. So you can find us outcastparanormal.com. The teaser's all over Facebook, social media, everywhere. And basically what it is, because of my experiences with the lights, things of that nature, like when I was on Bigfoot Bounty, like me and like 17 other people, members of the cast and crew, we had a UFO sighting at Mount Adams. And then there were knocks around our camp, like within 30 minutes afterwards. And then the next day we found tracks. We found tracks going all the way out into the middle of this field, and then they just stopped. So anybody that has talked to enough people about Bigfoot, like Wes or yourself or anybody else, you notice there some of these stories, people all say different things about these Bigfoots. You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily that one of them's right and one of them's wrong. They could very well all be right.
Yeah.
This thing could give off primate, qualities at moments. And then it can also have paranormal qualities to it. You're seeing lights. You're maybe hearing something telepathic in your mind, which, that's one of them. But basically, the film we got coming out, the docuseries, is called The Mookie Experiments. It started out as a skunk ape hunt. I was going back down to Mayaca to try and have an encounter again. Okay. Me and Bill Brock and some other people had one in 2013. Right after that footage came out, we had an encounter the same week. So we wanted to try to replicate it, but we took in everybody's theories. You know what I mean? Hey, try this. This may work. Hey, Bigfoot's maybe these things. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. Try this. So it's basically making a list. What we did in the film, we made a list and then tried experiments to see what you're hitting on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the honest truth at the end of the day is none of us know what Bigfoot is. None of us. You have your apers who swear up and down it's flesh and blood, and they'll even cite the Native American stories, yet they find the Native American beliefs to be hard to believe.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're canceling yourself out there, bud. If you're gonna cite the Native Americans, you might want to step up and believe some of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because you don't, you're so close-minded. And what do you have to lose? Like seriously, bud, it's been since the Patterson Gimlin film, what, 60-something years?
Right.
We ain't done it yet.
Right.
Like, to actually think about it. And then they're like, I hate hearing those things where it's like, oh, these people, the cloakers and all that, make us sound crazy. It's another thing I'm trying to explain to every single person. They are not making you sound crazy. You walking around the woods, holler into a effing 8-foot tall ape man that's running around in the forest at night and looking in our single wide trailer windows. You know what I mean? You're the one that makes you sound crazy, because you got to figure the people that think Bigfooters and UFO abductees and people that see ghosts, the people that think they're crazy, they're not going to, you know, differentiate between, oh, these people believe Bigfoot's multidimensional. They're actually real crazy. These people just think, no, you're all crazy. You're all in the same basket.
Yep.
You need to get along. You know, we need that data. We need all the sightings. And so the Mookie experiments is something about that. You know, it's try everything. That's what Outcast Paranormal is about. Just try every single thing and see what works. At the end of the day, the truth is going to dictate the rules to this, not some guy that wrote some pamphlet for the BFRO on how Bigfoot should be hunted. The truth is actually going to do it once we figure out what that is. So, not throwing no shade on nobody. Like, you know, they want to believe one thing, that's fine. Just like, what do all Bigfooters want from the general public? To be open-minded.
Yeah.
How are you going to get in the fucking Bigfoot field if you're going to close your mind to the other half of this?
Yeah.
You can't ignore this enigma anymore. You can't ignore the other parts. You can't. I mean, you can.
Yeah, I have
I'll
to
see
agree
the
with
finish line. Yeah, I mean,
I
I don't
agree
understand.
with
I'm
you.
probably going to catch a lot of shit about it, but the documentary series is very like high action. You know what I mean? We did a lot of dumb shit. Like on one of the experiments, we caught a hog. Like, we hired a guy who catches hogs to take us in the swamp and catch a hog. And we went and caught the hog. And we put a collar on it, like a GPS tracker, and then released it into the Bigfoot area, and had some kind of tape on the collar that when it got wet, it would disintegrate and the collar would fall off. And then we just retrieved the collar. But we could hunt the Bigfoot based off of where the hogs were. And if we got one of them hogs GPS'd. So we did a bunch of shit that was like, wow, I can't believe y'all are doing this.
That's smart.
But, you know, there's a bunch of theories in there that people may not want to buy. You know what I mean? There's a guy who had a theory that maybe these are projections sometimes.
Okay.
It goes into like the Foo Fighters from World War II and like the Bet Sphere and things of that nature. So, like I said, we tried everything, and then we will continue to try everything because we're not after your click or after the truth.
Awesome. I love it.
Outcast Paranormal, though, outcastparanormal.com. That's what I'm going to be pushing for a while. Besides that, I might make another Skunk Ape Lives film. I got enough. Lord knows I got enough things there. But y'all can follow me on social media. And August 6th, The Pit, starring Les Stroud and myself, will be worldwide. It's like a horror thriller insanity flick. So viewer discretion advised on that, but you should enjoy it.
Fantastic. Mr. Stacy Brown Jr., thank you very much, brother, for coming on here. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the stories, love getting the inside scoop. And you let me know when you want this released, and I'll move it to whatever date you want, because I know you got your stuff coming out.
My stuff drops tomorrow, so you know, anytime you want to put it out, the way I talked about it in the shows, like it's already came out. So if you want to throw it out Saturday or whatever, that's just all I wanted to blast onto it was that Outcast stuff. All
right, well, fantastic. Yeah, we'll do it next week. It'll be the next episode out.
All right, bud. Well, I thank you so much, dude.
Hey, thank you, man.
Have a good one, bro.
You too.
Later on.
Later.